It's time once again for an offseason here in the New York Giants Madden 22 franchise rebuild. Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 27. And we're coming off a very good season for New York, but we have now gone 2 straight years where we've beaten the Packers in the wild card round of the playoffs and then lose to Dallas in the divisional round. We were better in the regular season. We actually learned how to run the football this year. There were definitely some things we have gotten better between last year and this season. But for us to make it further and to beat Dallas in these big games, I think there are a couple areas of the team that we have to look at upgrading today. And I'll start with defense because that's where we focused a lot of our scouting attention this year. And I knew I wanted to do something big on that side of the football. There are defensive linemen in this class I'm really excited about that could go in the early rounds. I think linebacker has been probably the weakest part of the roster, but it's also not like a great linebacker class this season. And then at corner, where I think we have been good, and hey, Bradberry's X Factor, is that new? I don't check this screen all that often, actually. Is this new? It is. All right. James Bradberry is incredible. Adoree Jackson will have his moments, but I'm trying to stay very deep at corner because in Dallas there's Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. You can't have enough corners against them. So I expect that the beginning of the draft is going to be focused on adding defensive players. We've scouted cornerback the most. I have defensive tackles I would be happy to take in the first round, and there are some linebackers. But I think as the season went on, I started to realize there's something we're missing on offense. And I pointed to this at the end of last episode, that in the playoffs, Kenny Galloway really wasn't there for us, having combined 3 catches, 29 yards, no touchdowns, and a long of 13. I feel like against good defenses, we just don't have that true number 1 pass catcher. And one thing that concerns me is that we don't really have a great route runner on the team outside of Sterling Shepard. He's about to be a 31-year-old free agent. So I'm thinking about adding another receiver, but as I went through the class, while there are some high-rated receivers, I think it's either a very overrated class, and a lot of those players are not first-round talents, or it's just that they don't fit what I'm looking for. And I got extremely unlucky with the wide receiver scouting, and almost nobody gave me like solid route running information here. And receiver was not a focus. It's at 40%. It's a luck-based scouting system in a lot of ways, and there are so many ratings that could unlock at receiver. I'm looking for 3 in particular during this offseason: short, medium, deep route running. And I go through these scouting reports and they're just not there. There could be some good receivers in this class, but we're just probably not going to be taking one. We pick at 22nd this year, and we don't have all the extra picks. I don't think. We might have a couple, actually. I think Minnesota might have given us a gift last year. But receiver is a spot where I've literally only found one player that I would be excited to draft at this point. And actually, put an asterisk next to that one because I still don't know, even with 70% completion here on Quinton Levens. Why is that? Because I don't know any of his route runnings at 70%. So I'm probably going to make him a private workout player because he could be a good fit or not. My feeling going into this offseason right now is that we can attack the draft for defense, but if we want to add a receiver, free agency is going to be our best bet there. Let's take a look at our picks this year in the draft. Obviously picking a little bit lower, but we do have an extra 3, an extra 4, and an extra 5, and an extra 7. So still plenty of picks to make. Maybe some trading up will happen. Specifically, I think for one of the defenders, if I feel I have to move up. And let's just go through the mock draft quick, because there are 2 defensive tackles I like a lot that I'd be willing to take in the first round. My favorite player would be Darnay Holmes, a defensive tackle, and he's mocked at 8 to Baltimore. A power moves, B finesse, C block shed, good interior pass rusher who should have an outstanding combine. I don't know the full scouting report, but I don't need it. If not him, I also like Marco Iglesias, who's mocked at 14. So this is probably an opportunity to move up for us. B awareness, A power moves, B tackling. Again, should have a good combine, maybe not as good as Holtz. But both to me would be really good additions and would make it easier to move on from Leonard Williams, who is a free agent. There are some cornerbacks as well, but I feel like I had a couple that really stood out to me in that top tier. I like Troy Cooper. He's projected to go last in the first round here, and I may make him a private workout player. B-man, A-press. I feel like zone might come in as a C. If it came in as a B or an A, like, he really would be undervalued, I think, being taken bottom 1. But I'm expecting him to be a man cover corner with low zone coverage. But he's good enough in all other areas to still take in the first round and is a really good athlete. I just realized, too, I was looking at mock draft 1. So that's not even going to be fully accurate. I need to move on here. Let's advance. But the linebackers that I like, they're not even first-round talents or first-round prospects. So that would allow us to maybe come away with 2 new starters in this draft. But we're not making any staff changes. Don't have to do anything there. Nobody hired away. So we can basically skip this stage. Kyle Rudolph did retire after the season, 2 years removed from a really good year with us. So we do have plenty of tight ends on the roster. Probably doesn't change our offseason approach overall. But here's just a quick look at some of the retirements around the league. Let me see mock draft 3 here, just so I know our draft spot. But 22 seemed pretty good. They actually have us here at 27. So moving up in the first, I think, is pretty likely, because I really want to get one of the defensive linemen. Iglesias they have now sliding to 17. They have Darnay Holmes still going at 8, but to Minnesota now. Time to re-sign some players, beginning with James Bradberry, who has been a top 2 or 3 player in the entire franchise. Obviously, I'm offering him a contract, no drama there. Just have to make sure it actually works out. He wants 15.7. Want to make sure this goes through with no issues. I'll boost it up to 17.1. He signs. Sterling Shepard to 81. What was his regression this year? Just taking a look here. Only 12 points. 4 to deep route running, but he's a underneath route runner anyway, so none of that got worse. Shepard is similar to what he's been then in the past. I'm interested in potentially bringing him back, but I feel like I need to see free agency because there might be a better fit. Leonard Williams still wants to be paid pretty highly, around $11 million a season. He's down to an 83 at 30 years old. And he didn't regress much. But I feel like we should probably let him test. He's a decent player, but I feel Pope stepped up. I like Dexter Lawrence, sorry, I keep getting them confused. He did have 8.5 sacks this year, but I just think that we can let him test free agency. J.C. Treader looking for about $10 million, but I think we're going to let him test and move forward with the offensive line that's been constructed mostly through the draft in this series. In the last episode, too, we didn't allow a single sack against Dallas. I thought the offensive line held up pretty well. We're letting a lot of these veterans test. I know oftentimes I'm just signing these veterans to 1-year deals, but trying to be pretty forward thinking here in the franchise and make sure that some young players can get some playing time. And maybe it's not quite the all in on next year approach I tend to have in these like championship windows, because I feel like if I do too much of that, this whole thing can fall apart. I need to make sure like the receivers develop and some other young players develop, and they can't do it on the bench. Wow, I even boosted the offer here for Graham Gano. He says no thanks. I'm just going to give him the franchise tag then. Ratings are still pretty good for at least one more year. We'll let Logan Ryan test. Probably signing Andrew Thomas. Probably should sign Darnay Holmes. If you follow my franchises, you know I just don't like to start over with offensive linemen. The draft just doesn't offer you like good upside, and you can easily just take first round normal dev players. So sign Andrew Thomas, that's easy. Darnay Holmes, I do like. He's been our slot corner. I do want to draft a corner. This one's actually a little tough. What to do with Darnay Holmes? 2 interceptions this last season, 43 tackles. He's a solid player. I'll come back to him in a moment. I do want to sign Kazir White, but at the same time, linebacker remains a focus. Colin Johnson can test. Kari Blasingame can test. I don't think any of these other players are getting offers. I'll give Raymond Johnson III a offer here to be a backup. I think that we have to keep in mind good depth here, as I've raised the injury slider and thought it was decent last year, the amount of injuries that were popping up. And O-line depth too at the same time. Ben Bredesen struggles against athletic pass rushers, but I think we'll offer him a 1-year deal. That one's done. Carter Coughlin just didn't really get a role with us as I drafted other players. He's got some upside though. He's versatile, but probably not going to work out with us. All right, I'll offer to Darnay Holmes, but if I end up with a really good corner, one of these other corners might end up being traded. It's time for free agency, and we have around $90 million in cap space, so we could go after a receiver. We could make a big move. Only one player in the 90s for overall has hit free agency. I may have to look at adjusting the XP sliders a bit, but I felt like the default ones were better than they've been in this game. And let's just go right to receiver here. Chase Claypool. Sterling Shepard, Gabriel Davis. Yeah, free agency isn't looking great. Claypool is just going to give you a younger version, basically, of Kenny Galladay. Obviously, there's Sterling Shepard. We know about him. Gabriel Davis, his route runnings are better down the field. For a lot of teams, he'd be a really good fit. I just don't know that he's a great fit for us. I think that he'd be competing for like Rashawn Graham's targets, and I don't want that. All right, I want a route runner, I said. Jacoby Myers. Let's see. 84, 80, 76 with low speed. Devin Duvernay. I like him. I want to see Baltimore play him a little bit more. Kind of a slot only right now. Van Jefferson, already 28. No, I don't think that this is going to be easy without doing a trade then. Teron Armstead is available at left tackle. That's pretty exciting. JC Treader. Yeah, there's just not enough big names here in free agency, and that's one of the keys I look for when it comes to if XP sliders are in a good spot, because the league, if it's going to be done the way I like it, the league needs to have kind of a feedback loop where you have players getting contracts so big that teams can't sign everybody, and inevitably somebody hits free agency that you might not expect because they just are low on cap space. So I'll be taking a look at that then. But there are some really good corners available. Yeah, free agency's kind of a bust. So I will be looking at trade options then, and the way I typically do it in these series is I try to trade with teams that are bad and might make more sense to have some deals for big name or high rated players. So Anybody here that was like in the bottom 10, I'll be checking out their rosters to see what we can make happen. Taking a look at the top receivers in the league, and there are some receivers who are on that list of teams that weren't very good. The big blockbuster superstar trade for someone like Justin Jefferson isn't usually the approach I take in these kinds of rebuilds, and I can only imagine what it would take to acquire Jefferson. I guess I was hoping for somebody more in the 84-85 range to be a good fit. And there was one player like Rondale Moore, but I feel like he'd just be doing what I want Tony to do. Maybe he'd be better at it. But I still want to develop Tony and Graham Moore. Moore has superstar dev though. So we have plenty of money to spend in free agency. I wasn't expecting that we'd really be wanting to bring back Leonard Williams, but it might be one of the better moves for us to make right now. We could legitimately go into the year though with like $50 million in cap space. I just don't see how to utilize it all. Eric Kendricks is available if we want to sign a linebacker with some cover skills, so that wouldn't be the worst idea. I think I will give him an offer. No one else has. And with the way things are looking, I might have to bring back Sterling Shepard for another season, so I don't know how exciting this offseason's going to get. Every team right now has so much cap space, they would have had an easy time re-signing whoever good was available or would have been available. So I will be doing some tests and fixing up some of the XP sliders, and it might take a couple seasons for it to really fix itself, but it does work. If I have the cap space though, I might as well give an offer to Teron Armstead. Like, he's one of the best tackles in the game, and we could definitely use him. I'm going to offer a one-year deal to Leonard Williams. I don't want to go with the multi-year deal. I'm still interested in drafting another player along the defensive line. Even Justin Tucker's available right now. I wasn't expecting that, but with these ratings, I mean, you definitely got to give him an offer here. And there's still Stephon Gilmore. Teams are interested in him, and it might be like the last big move we could make, but with the way everything is set up, I guess, you know, that all-in, sign all the veterans approach will probably work for at least one more year, trying to get to the Super Bowl. I just didn't expect free agency to be quite like this year. But after round one, a bunch of new players coming to the Giants. We are rejected by Stephon Gilmore, however. But Williams comes back. We do get Teron Armstead and Justin Tucker. So that makes the offensive line even deeper. And I wasn't anticipating making a move here, but now we got one of the best left tackles. We do have a superstar dev player that'll play now. That makes things a little more exciting. Gilmore is going to the Eagles, though, so we are going to be seeing him. AJ Terrell got a big deal from Denver. Chase Claypool is going to Carolina, who did not keep DJ Moore earlier in the series. But there weren't a lot of big-name, high-rated players here in free agency. Tua's going to Pittsburgh, though. More teams are now interested in Eric Kendricks, so we're going to boost our one-year offer. And Kendricks does sign. So there are only a couple things I really want to do still in the offseason. I wish I could do more at receiver. Without a trade, I'm so limited there. But I may take a look again. But choosing the private workout players, I will be trying to get further information. Please give me route running this time around for Quinton Levens. I think somebody said something about making sure you do it from the favorites board, otherwise it like scouts the wrong players. But within that same position, it's weird. So Levens will be further scouted. I have in my notes here that I wanted more information on Ricky Boyd. And then I like two inside linebackers a lot. We'll get Pat Cummins caught up here to Quinton's completion percentage. Why didn't my completion percentage on Levens go up? I don't know what happened here because I did end up with more info on Pat Cummins, who's up to 80% suddenly. And we now know B awareness, A man, B zone, A power moves. Really like him. Two good linebackers that I think could be starters for us. Both really good values as well. Here's Jason Quinton, A man, B zone, A injury, A catching. Quinton's combine, by the way, runs between a 4.4 and a 4.5. Pretty good. Shuttle time, 3 cone. And for Pat Cummins, not quite as much speed. I'm not even sure if I got my extra completion here on Ricky Boyd. But C-man, don't know zone, B tackle. Yeah, I'm not sure I know enough to make him a first-round pick based on this. We're on to the NFL draft, and I think the plan has to be to move up. Try to get those more sure-thing players, get those elite defensive linemen, think about cornerback. And we have plenty of depth, I think, on the roster to be aggressive here in trading up. So we pick at 27. If we want Quandre Holt, we have to get up into the top 10. If we're interested in Marco Iglesias, we can wait a little bit longer, probably, at least based on the mock drafts that we looked at. But again, here is Quandre Holt. A, power moves. B, finesse. Combine looks really good. 31 and 35 bench reps. There were some other players as well that I liked. Ashton Bacon. I just didn't think, based on this, I liked him as much as Holt or Iglesias. You have to really pick your spots, too, with who's going to get your focus player or private workouts. Bacon, though, really high bench reps and the fastest D tackle. He would have been a good player to get some more information on. I don't think I knew his combine was going to be so ridiculous. So I want to at least get out of the top 5. These are expensive trades up here. Jeremiah Davidson goes number 1 to Houston. Then Miami is going to start over at quarterback. Shenard Graham out of Oregon is their new quarterback. James Brayton, first tackle off the board, and there are some good tackles in this class. It's just way beyond a need for us right now. Then Chicago, after Cincinnati takes a quarterback, they're taking one. They have Fields. And didn't they take a quarterback last year as well? They have Connor Donnelly on the roster, star dev. I think they drafted him in like the first round. Yeah, at number 3. So they just keep taking first round quarterbacks. A running back going to the Rams at 6. That's actually pretty exciting. Then we have Detroit at 7. They're going with a defensive end. And now 8 is where Holt kept going in the mocks. I felt good enough about his scouting report to not scout him any further. Is it worth it to move up to 8 potentially? We know Bacon can probably be a really good run stuffer. B block shed, really good bench reps, and good 40 time too. So maybe, you know, power moves could be strong for him. I should have made him a private workout player, but who knows if the game would have actually given me the progress for scouting him anyway. Marco Iglesias, a power moves. I just really wanted to find a good pass rusher here. I think we have great options for the first round. Holt is the 5th rated player on the available board right now. And then it's a long way until Bacon at 16, Iglesias right behind him. I also really wish you could just have like a nice compare players screen here. You know, I think one exists in Ultimate Team. But just so you don't have to go in and out of menus 1,000 times. Like, drafting has become very time consuming without quality of life improvements with this new system. Wow, that's actually a big difference. I guess the ranking there, I shouldn't get so caught up in because like the numbers themselves are going to give you like their values for strength, speed, and whatnot. Like being 18th versus 7th isn't actually that big of a deal. Just look at 4 less reps on his combine versus pro day. What I like about Holt, though, is that he's got power and he's got finesse. And those all-around players always end up having the greatest ceilings. It's not going to be the guy with A power and C finesse or D finesse. It's always going to be like the superstar that can do it all. I don't know, though, about Iglesias. He could have good finesse moves, too. So, what's this going to cost me here? More than a 3. Now, I'd definitely be willing to give up both 3s here. But I don't know that it would even be enough. Those are not anywhere near, like, top 50. So that second round pick is going to have to be part of the equation here. I'm a little worried about this even working with our top 3 picks being thrown at Minnesota. No. I'd have to go into the futures. But a current 3 and a future 2 should have pretty similar value, but I'd be okay with it. All right, Minnesota likes that. A 2 this year, a 2 next year, and we're moving up to 8. And I'm going to be going with Darnay Holmes here. I'm trying to get the highest dev players, so I do have bias towards those that are simply on the available board ranked higher. I just want to find a way to get superstar or superstar X Factor players. I mean, this would be really disappointing if we traded up 19 spots with 2 second-round picks for a normal development player. But here's Darnay Holmes, everybody, the newest New York Giant. Hidden development, we hit on that. 87 strength, 76 speed, 81 acceleration. And we'll see how good of a pass rusher he can be on day 1. That means, though, we're now waiting around until the 3rd, but obviously I'll be interested in trading up because I'm still interested in those linebackers. I just think that with the way the draft is, like, if it's going to take a lot of time to know the class and to really go through things in depth, and I certainly did last year. Like, I had so many picks to make, I knew it was a big offseason, so I spent a couple extra hours doing it. I didn't this time around. I focused on, you know, the main positions and the top of the draft so I could try to nail that. But I think, like, the best way to play this offseason is to trade up. Just move up, condense everything, and keep it easy on yourself. Colt Elliott ends up going late first here to Tampa. There were a couple tight ends that I knew could be really, really good. Didn't really consider them, but I should take a look at the 2 best ones because I think we need someone that can be a bit more dominant right now in the passing game. And I really didn't consider tight end because I obviously love what we've gotten from Juwan Johnson. But just to see what could have been, we'll take a look. But we're wrapping up the first round. Devontae Solomon's the last pick. And now here in the second, we have to think about when we're trying to get up here. At this point, I'm interested mostly in the linebackers. And they're not even in the top 20 right now, so shouldn't be anytime soon. I wonder then if we could try to trade up for them later and do something else in the second round. I had Manny Cowan as somebody I was interested in getting more info on. 6'5", 221. He ended up running high 4.4s. But we don't know the route running. His F-deep route running isn't a good start. The other tight end, though, that's supposed to be really good is Luke Smith from South Carolina. Be catching traffic at 6'6", 256. His speed's going to be in a really nice spot. Tore up the combine, especially. He took a lot of gold medals there. But pretty incomplete scouting report. Tight end, receiver. 2 tough positions to rely on getting lucky here. There are just so many ratings there. They're 18th. You can get so unlucky with that. I have Jonathan Wimbley on my board here, and we could still think about corner. He's 6'3", C-man, Don't know zone. Good kick returner, though, so you got to count on him being a pretty good athlete overall. Shuttle time is good. 3-cone, not so much, but he's 6'3", so that helps make up for the slower 3-cones, lower 40. I'm not really seeing players worth trading up for anywhere close to this spot. I mean, those linebackers were 60 and 61st on the available board. I shouldn't be thinking about them for a while. Luke Smith would have been the one player, like, if I were to trade up and just take a chance on a guy, would have been him. We'll see if the tight ends would have been worth it. There are some good tackles, but unless we start running an unbalanced line on a regular basis, we don't need more than we have. Jonathan Wimbley, he was rated really highly on the board, but the scouting wasn't very good. Like D-awareness, D-tackling, I didn't get anything interesting with him. Andrew Burnett, he was a high-rated safety. I had him on the board, but he wasn't worth trading up for. Didn't have the cover skills. Just kind of a box linebacker, if my memory is correct. Manny Cowan, I'm interested in his ratings just because I considered making him a private workout player. Tell me more about Russ Westbrook here. Runs a 4.5, 32-inch vertical leap. That's all? I gotta say, though, this is pretty scary how close they got on the height and weight for Westbrook. They didn't get the 40 quite correct. At least I have here when Westbrook was drafted 36 and a half, and it's 13 years later. Maybe this is more accurate. I don't know. F, injury. A, pursuit. B, hit power. I don't know if I have enough here to draft Russ Westbrook. We're on to the third round, and soon we could be talking about those linebackers. They're still not rated all that highly, though, across the board. And we pick in like 11 selections. So I'm not thinking we have to move up. And I do like Quinton more right now, slightly. He has better combine, a little faster. And I know he has a injury. It's just kind of an added plus there. But they have the same block shed, man cover, zone cover, a catching as well. Don't know if that'll come in handy. It always kicks me to the top there. Well, sometimes it does. It's kind of like a fun surprise mechanic. And then Pat Cummins, we know he has B, awareness, C, block shed, A, man, B, zone. Does have the A, power move, though. We do blitz quite a bit. I like our blitzes we run. 2 picks until it's our turn. They took a linebacker, not one that I had interest in. And we are back on the clock. Did not have to move up, oddly enough. So, we're going to be selecting Jason Quinton from Wisconsin. Field general archetype. I feel pretty good about him potentially being a game changer for us. 84 speed. Thought it might be a little bit faster. He ran high 4.4s. So I'm surprised it's not like an 88, 89. But hey, hidden dev, field general linebacker. This team has needed a linebacker like ever since Antonio Pierce retired. It's time to fill that need. And hopefully we've done it. I don't know what I'm doing with the rest of the draft, though. I really don't know. But there goes Russ Westbrook to Jacksonville. Very exciting there. Pat Cummins, a couple picks later here going to the Bills. So I can't double up. I have a pick here and 11 more selections. Can't take both. I have exactly 2 players on my favorites board right now. I really didn't look as much at the bottom of the draft, but with these picks, I will be going to hopefully find some depth players, and maybe we'll have a couple surprises. But I certainly don't think I need this pick. Anybody want to give me a future 2? I want a 2025 second round pick, and teams are just not giving me that kind of an offer. I don't even want to take Green Bay's here, like a 3 now for a 3 later. Like, you got to give me something extra. These trades are terrible. I really didn't do a lot of scouting for the offense. I was kind of all in on defense this year, and I've taken 2 defensive players that have hidden devs, so mission accomplished there. But the rest of this, It's going to be my best guess. I'm having a very difficult time right now finding intriguing players to draft. So with this next pick then, as I didn't like the trade downs, I'm going to draft the fastest quarterback in this class. I don't know much about him. C, medium accuracy, A, under pressure. But he does have speed and might be a player worth developing for a little while. Luke Cook, normal dev, only 82 throw power, but we'll see if he can be a backup. All right, fine. I'll just trade this next 4th round pick for a 4th rounder next season, and maybe I can use it to trade up or something. Next up, we're going to add some depth at corner and select BJ Boss. He's a man cover corner. I don't know how good his man coverage is. I know his zone isn't very good, but combine looks pretty good here. We'll add him. Normal development. Next up, we're going to be selecting a running back. Surprise! Tavares Towns from Georgia. He's 5'10", 224, and he runs a 4.4 with good bench reps, decent 3-cone. He can obviously break tackles with B break tackle. He has B carrying. No way! Hidden development. Are we going to have some fun after all here? 3rd hidden dev player, a nice surprise late in the draft. Which one of these teams drafted Quinton Levins, who was like nowhere near the top of the available board, and that's why I just kept like moving on and pushing, drafting him back. Yeah, someone took him. I have a bad feeling now about passing on him. In the 5th round, we're going to select Grant Cooper out of Wisconsin. Just a backup tackle option. Next, we'll select outside linebacker Alexander Cherry. I've gone through a lot of these undrafted receiver prospects, but I do want to select... Don't even tell me an undrafted receiver I wanted to draft was already taken. All right, we have to look for the name Isaiah Jackson then once we finish things up today. So we're going to select wide receiver Josh Meadows instead. Ran a good 40 time, pretty good bench press as well, and C short route running. Basically, at this point, you're not drafting players that you know have good skills. You're just drafting players who you don't know for sure that their skills are like all bad. And our final pick, unless someone already drafted the fullback, is going to be Nelson Galloway. And that, everybody, is the offseason here. Let's take a look at some ratings now. Starting here with Quandre Holt. He is a 75 overall. Hidden development. Love this pick. 87 strength, 82 power. His finesse and block shed are decent. 76 speed. I feel like maybe it wasn't the best like value giving up 2 second-round picks to move up for him, but I felt like he was the best, so I wanted the best. I then took Jason Quinton, who I also thought could be a starter, and he has hidden development. Probably not going to be great against the run early in his career, and his coverage, remember, we had A-man, B-zone. For both linebackers I liked, but that still ends up in the 60s. He's going to need time, but luckily, hidden development will make it easier. Quarterback Luke Cook only had 60 overall, just taking a chance here on a backup quarterback, but he's not a very good passer. BJ Boss, 68 overall in like the 4th round. I think that's pretty good, although these lower rated corners, their ratings always look bad because their coverage is just going to be in the 60s. Tavares Towns was an exciting pick though, a hidden dev running back at 5'10", 224, 90 speed, 79 break tackle, trucking, strength. Oh man, can he catch the ball? Can he catch the ball? Kind of. The routes though, ooh, not great. Grant Cooper, 60 overall, probably a practice squad player. Alexander Cherry, 81 speed, 72 block shed. So kind of a backup to Baron Browning, and probably a practice squad player. Wide receiver Josh Meadows has good speed, but isn't a very good route runner and needs a lot of time. Another practice squad player. And last, the fullback, Nelson Galloway. 80 speed, 81 trucking. What's his lead block? 79? This might be a decent pick. So that was the offseason, everybody. Let me know what you thought of how I attacked this offseason. But clearly I need to adjust my XP sliders, get the balance back in the league so that not every team has all this cap space and free agency is more interesting. Definitely drop the ball with that. A lot of quarterbacks here went early on. That's been the trend this year. Whoa, 83 overall running back. The Rams are back, everybody. 5'9", 211 James Abraham with 96 speed. And he can catch the football. Wow. You normally don't get running backs that have this much explosiveness. Like, I feel like most of the running backs come in with 92 or less speed. He's got 96. He's going to be so good. So I took Quandre Holt, obviously, trading up pretty aggressively. And then Ashton Bacon and Marco Iglesias went a handful of picks later. Bacon, hidden dev. Great strength, great run stopping, pass rush, needs time to get there, but maybe Pittsburgh has their next Cam Hayward, who just retired. Marco Iglesias, hidden dev. Interesting. So, no matter what, you couldn't have gone wrong here, going for any of the top 3 D tackles. Iglesias has more strength than Holt, but his ratings are so similar. I mentioned the tight ends being pretty intriguing. Colt Elliott, hidden development here, going to Tampa. 89 speed, 84 catching, route running on the low end, but it can get there, I think, by the end of his rookie season. How about Troy Cooper at corner? 78 normal, with good enough skills, I think, to play on day one. By the way, Ricky Boyd, I wanted more information on him, never got it. Hidden dev, though. 92 speed. Pure zone corner right now. But wouldn't have been a bad choice. Probably wouldn't have taken him over a defensive lineman, though. Luke Smith at tight end, 73 overall, and normal dev for him. Definitely considered trading up for him, and his run blocking is pretty good on day one. His route running is a little bit better than the other tight end, but he only has normal dev. Both good options, though. Manny Cowan went to the Steelers, 70 overall, hidden dev. 6'5", 221 as they attempt to replace Chase Claypool. Are you kidding me? Russ Westbrook, 76 overall? He was actually really good? Alright, he goes to Jacksonville, 90 speed, 85 acceleration, 77 tackling. I mean, injury is low. But I think he's a really good prospect here. Wow. Pat Cummins ended up being a 70, higher rated than Jason Quinton, with hidden dev as well. He was a pass cover archetype. I knew Quinton had 15 pounds on him. Coverages, I think, identical. Speeds are good. I think Cummins ended up faster, didn't he? 87? His 40 was worse, though. Both his times were worse. So maybe Cummins was a little bit better. The 40 time there, though, like, it was a good 10th of a second faster for Jason Quinton. Only 84 speed. I'm surprised by that. Why didn't I take Russ Westbrook with like that 3rd round pick? I just took a quarterback. I could have taken Russ Westbrook and ended up with a really good safety that I probably would have moved to linebacker. Man, what could have been? Quinton Levens was a 70. Oh man, he went to Washington too. He was not supposed to go here. Why didn't I just take him? Oh man, sickening. Are you kidding me? Like, he doesn't have Shepard's route running, but he's got more speed. He could get there. I knew it this whole time. But then the CPU started to take other receivers projected to go undrafted before I could select them. 68 Isaiah Jackson. Come on, man! He could have played on day one as a 7th round pick. Oh no! How'd I mess this up? There was another receiver projected to go undrafted, and he was also taken. 70 overall? Jason Bowens. I can identify talent. I just can't end up selecting the players. That's it. We're not doing these anymore. We're never looking through what could have been. It's a terrible idea. I don't recommend it. Just pretend you made the best picks possible and move on. From now on, okay? Say it with me. On day 3, specifically like after the 4th round, projection does not matter. Go get your favorite players in any order. My logic when I was drafting was, okay, I already know I like these players, but they're projected to go later. So I want to maximize what I'm doing here in the 5th round so that I can maybe get better players in this round and still get those players later. No, forget that. Take the players you like. I took a 60 overall quarterback in the 3rd round for no good reason, and then I let undrafted receivers with some upside get taken. Come on, man. I took like 3 hidden dev players in the draft. I was still walking away like so disappointed. Like, I hit some good picks, and then I feel like I messed up what should be easier. On top of that too, I had so many day 3 picks. And then I go through them and I'm like, yeah, this guy's on the practice squad. That guy's going on the practice squad. And then I see what other teams are doing. They're drafted starters in the 7th round. Not high-end starters, but starters. Contributors that have the route running that we're missing. All right, I'm taking one of the best route runners here. Aaron Slay, Texas Tech. 75 short. See, he has really similar ratings to the player that was I showed last. Only I'm signing him to a 1-year deal, and he's going to want $1.2 million in like 3 episodes. I'm also signing wide receiver Alan Pendleton from Virginia Tech. He's got some of the best release out of these available receivers. Runs an okay short route, 90 speed. He makes the roster. Cornerback Josh Woodward from Auburn University. Man coverage is pretty good. His speed is pretty solid. I'll find a few more undrafted players to add to the team, but we're basically set for the new season. Do I want to stream some preseason this time around? Maybe. What do you think? Might have some time here. Tomorrow's Friday. Might be able to pull that off. Let me know if you'd like me to stream some of the preseason. But I was thinking about this offseason like when the playoffs began, and I had an idea of what I was going to do today, and that was going to involve trading away Kenny Galloway and finding his replacement. As you can tell, it's the same receiving core as last season. I haven't been able to find that upgrade, and I may have to make a trade of some kind. Maybe trading Kenny Galloway to a team with a player, with a pick, and maybe getting another receiver. That might be the way to go. I really like the ratings here for Rashad Bateman. I'm surprised his short route running is where it's at. I wonder if he'd be an option for us to maybe make a deal with here. I think there'd be some more projection with a trade like this, like counting on his route running getting better from here. I mean, another option is just trying to go and bring in Michael Thomas. I'm not sure how easy that would be. New Orleans was on that list, though, of teams that finished with like 7 or less wins last year. 1 year on his deal. I feel like there is going to be a move we need to make. I don't know what yet, but I want to see your feedback, and maybe I'll stream some of the preseason for some fun this time around. Hope y'all enjoyed the offseason today. Leave your feedback down below. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and the Giants will be back again soon. Have a great day.